Well, I'll first thank you so much, by the way, for inviting me for this podcast. I always love to distribute gyan, and this gives me a free podium to spread out all the stuff that's sitting in the hardware. But quick note about Entangles. We are an Indian multinational company which is in the business of creating digital twins of class 4 and above heavy vehicles in the commercial and non-commercial spaces. By the virtue of creating a digital twin using our proprietary hardware, we are able to ensure that the data which goes to the cloud by the virtue of this very realistic digital twin model is worked upon by some very, very well trained proprietary patented algorithms, which gives our customers something traditionally telematics never gave, which is the power to preempt failures by observing suboptimal vehicle behavior in the most critical parts of the vehicle's CPU, which is the engine. Whether the battery is suboptimal or the boost pressure is suboptimal, we are able to preempt the check engine light, which means the vehicle has broken down problem for a customer, sometimes by hours, sometimes by days. I'll leave it at that. 11-year-old company, over half a million assets globally on the platform, sit on AWS, US, Canada, Mexico, and North America is where we started operations 3 years back. I joined 2.5, 3 years back to add scale and velocity to the post Series A motion. And we were able to validate the early settings in the ecosystem in North America to take Series B funding last year. Great investors, you can read all that on the website. Coming to the second question. When I started my career, my now wife, then batchmate at my B school, would always tell me, Sid, you have the gift of gab. You should be doing an MBA in sales and marketing, more marketing than anything else. And I said, I'm doing HR. And in those days, HR in India was something that mostly women would do because it's administrative and men would go for a more glamorous financial sales and marketing ecosystem. But I chose to do HR because I always wanted to understand what human behind human resources means. And I thought that would give me the most valuable impetus to work with people. Because human resources is not the gamut of an human resource manager. Everybody can be an HR manager because you manage people. So started with that hypothesis, became a recruiter because I always wanted to sell. And these are the days when there was no social media, mobile phones were still those old Nokia phones. So somebody who was my first CEO and co-founder, very interesting story. If you may allow me to double click, I'll tell you the story. I walk into this multi-story building. I enter the elevator, and there is this pot-bellied man in his mid-30s, early 40s, wearing the tag of the company I was going to interview in. And in India, you have a lift man in the elevator. So I asked the lift man, hey, I'm going to this company for an interview. How's the company? And the lift man is like, yeah, it's good. And he was talking in the vernacular language in India. And then I turn, I see this guy with the tag of the same company. So I was like, hey, you work for this company? And he's like, yes, I work for the company. Hey, I'm going to interview as an intern. How is the company? I have other job offers in hand, but I would want to know your perspective. And this man is grumpy. It's good. It's good. Then I go up, I finish my 4, 5 rounds, test, psychometric evaluation. And right at the end of the day, they tell me that you got to go and meet the CEO. So we open the door and this man turns around. He's like, ha, 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 I am the CEO of the company. So I was like, what just happened? We ended up talking. And that's when I realized, Steve, that my propensity to connect with people and leverage on a very inherent natural skill set of humor will take me a long way in my career. And I joined that company just because the guy was the founder CEO and he was from my school in New Delhi. Hit out extremely well and career went from here to there. But I started learning a very important facet in life, which is if you work with the co founder or founder CEO, that's an MBA that is not given in Ivy League colleges. That MBA stands for mind blowing attitude. That has stood me in good stead over the last 21 years. I very proudly tell my son and all my folks that I have picked up the spirit of doing somebody's business as the owner of the business without the risk of investing in the business from my pocket. It has tremendous downs, it has glorious ups, but you got to understand that the founder CEO wakes up on this side of the bed with a thought today, wakes up on that side of the bed with a thought tomorrow. So you learn dynamism, you learn how to delve in uncertainty, you are learning money making, you are learning how to handle mistakes, you're learning fears, you're learning uncertainties, you're learning vulnerabilities, so many things that help you grow as a professional. The functional side of your role, whether it's sales, marketing, recruiting, finance, those are skills you pick up down the line.